To verify his newly acquired title of God, the man casually pointed to a fire hydrant on the street, which immediately burst, spraying water everywhere. Then, he closed his eyes and opened them again, and in the next second, he was wearing the latest shirt from a clothing store. With another casual poke, he burned off the price tag. At that moment, he seemed to have truly become God. However, before he could even rejoice for 2 seconds, Deshaun suddenly saw the thugs who had bullied him before. He exhaled a breath of immortal energy, making himself strong, and then swaggered towards the thugs. He then demanded that the thugs apologize to him, but this only made the thugs laugh out loud. The bearded man turned around and told Deshaun, "Unless a monkey crawls out of his butt today," Deshaun immediately thought it was a good idea. The next second, as bearded brother trembled, a monkey suddenly pulled down his pants and crawled out. The terrifying scene in front of them scared everyone so much that they ran away. But Deshaun didn't intend to let them off easily. He then opened his mouth and spat out a swarm of bees, chasing after the thugs at faster than light speed. Just then, the monkey suddenly ran back and asked Deshaun where he should go. Deshaun replied that he should go back to where he came from. This made him feel instantly better. However, despite how awesome Deshaun is now, just a day ago he was a complete loser. He was about to rush to work when he encountered an unprecedented traffic jam. After finally driving to the company building, he almost got his car door caught in the door and fell to his death. He seemed to always be this unlucky, only slightly better off than a beggar on the street. However, the first thing he heard when he arrived at the company was that his program had been replaced, and the host who was competing with him was leading a barrage of mockery against him. This instantly enraged Deshaun. Seeing that the rivalry between the two had escalated to an unacceptable level, the boss quickly intervened to change the subject. After the meeting, Deshaun, realizing he was getting further and further away from becoming a top host, relentlessly begged his boss for another chance to film on location. Overjoyed, Deshaun thought his chance to become an overnight sensation had finally arrived. However, when he connected with the main station, he discovered that his competitor, Chang-gu, had been officially confirmed by the company as a TV host. However, what angered Deshaun even more was that Chang-gu took the opportunity to make sarcastic remarks on the show, calling him an unlucky fool. This instantly broke Deshaun's mentality. So he started talking nonsense on the live broadcast and ruined the opportunity he had worked so hard to get. Afterwards, Deshaun was immediately fired from his company. After returning home, Deshaun began an endless stream of complaints, even cursing God for only standing by and doing nothing. Not satisfied with his cursing, he decided to go for a drive. However, he accidentally crashed into a street lamp. Fortunately, although the car was damaged, no one was hurt. But thinking about the series of things that happened to him that day, Deshaun started complaining to God uncontrollably again. To his surprise, God actually heard him. The next morning, Deshaun was woken up early by the pager from the night before. Annoyed, he threw the pager out the window. To his surprise, when he took the dog outside to pee, he discovered that the broken pager was still working. So he went back inside and called. The person on the other end said they wanted to give him a job. This was a great opportunity for Deshaun, who had just lost his job, so he quickly drove to the agreed place. But as soon as he got out of the car, he stepped on a puddle of roof. Despite his complaints, Deshaun hadn't forgotten his job interview. He was greeted by an elderly black man in a cleaning uniform. The man told him the interview was on the 7th floor. When Deshaun finally reached the top, he was surprised to find it was the same cleaning man, only now dressed in white. The years. Then God told Deshaun that since he liked to complain so much and felt he hadn't done enough for the world, then let Deshaun try being God. As long as he left this building today, Deshaun would have the same divine power as God. Terrified, Deshaun naturally didn't believe the old man's nonsense. But the facts forced Deshaun to believe that he did indeed possess the same divine power as God, and it turned out that because Deshaun had run too fast, God had 2 rules for Deshaun to abide by. Having the power of God, he could not interfere with people's free will, nor could he reveal his identity to anyone. After saying this, God left. Upon learning that he had become God's successor, Deshaun became more confident than ever before. That night, when he got home, the first thing he wanted to do was to have a romantic time with his girlfriend. To create some atmosphere, he first wiped away the dark clouds in the night sky with his bare hands, then used a magic wand to pull the moon closer. Little by little, the two spent an unforgettable night amidst this unparalleled beauty. However, when Deshaun woke up the next day, he heard countless noisy sounds in his mind, but he couldn't find the source of the sounds. When he turned around, he saw the dog urinating next to the sofa. Upon seeing this, Deshaun quickly told the dog to go to the bathroom, and then, very humanely, flushed the toilet. After exchanging a few pleasantries with his girlfriend, Deshaun quickly made an excuse to leave. This time, he was going to use his divine power to reclaim his job. The wrecked car that had been smashed instantly transformed into a luxury supercar worth millions. He wouldn't have to wait in traffic jams anymore. With just a wave of his hand, all the cars would immediately make way for him. Then Deshaun arrived at a murder scene. Surprisingly, as soon as he appeared, he was met with ridicule from his former colleagues. Deshaun, now the successor of God, with his good temper, didn't take these things to heart. Then, under his control, Guzzi dug a corpse out of the ground. Thus, he easily obtained his first news story. He then gave his colleague who had just mocked him an even bigger piece of news. "I never saw it before, I swear." As a result, Deshaun returned to his previous company. Even his former boss, who had fired him, fawned over him and asked him to come back to work. After negotiating the terms with his boss, Deshaun quickly became a media darling with his increasingly sensational news reports. He achieved success in both his career and love life. He invited his girlfriend to a restaurant for dinner, and she thought he was going to propose to her. She had been looking forward to this moment for a long time. But to her surprise, Deshaun told her. Deshaun completely failed to notice his girlfriend's disappointment. Before he could continue sharing his joy with her, the strange voice in his mind rang out again. He instantly became irritable. Even though he immediately hid outdoors, the voices showed no sign of stopping. In fact, in the blink of an eye, he found himself traversing halfway around the world to Mount Everest. God told him that these were people's prayers. If he didn't deal with them quickly, the voices would become more numerous and noisier. So, after returning home, Deshaun suddenly thought of a good way to deal with the prayers.